Hi, I'm John Merriman. We're here with Whitney Cummings, a Moontower special event. I'm backstage right before the show. How are you?
I'm good, Zach Galifianakis.
I get that a lot.
You're very Austin. I like it. This feels very authentic Austin.
I am. I've lived here for a long time.
Is that true?
It is true.
I went around Austin today to try to get into the authentic I went to Congress instead.
Yes.
Nope. Not South Congress.
Oh.
Congress. So I was literally in City Hall. I was like, where are all the cool stores? I don't understand. I was walking around like looking at banks.
Right. Yeah, you got to go a little further. You cross the river.
I did it totally wrong. So as far as I'm concerned, your city sucks. I didn't get to see anything cool at all yet.
I am not a stalker. I did look at your Twitter. I did see you were in front of Joe's.
I finally got there. You're right.
I'm just defending our city, you know.
Okay, you're the weirdo in this exchange, just so you know. I get off easy. But yeah, no, we finally went to South Congress, hitched a ride with strangers, and everyone's been very nice.
You hitched. Did you put your thumb out?
No, someone recognized me. It was like, Whitney Cummings. I was like, can I get in your car? And can you drive me to South Congress? So we went to Perla's for lunch. And
what'd you have?
So good. Yeah. A lobster omelet.
Oh my god.
Oh my god, it was so good. And a baked grapefruit. Y'all are crazy here in Austin. It's all like stoner food, the kind of stuff you think of when you're stoned. You're like, why don't we put sugar on a grapefruit and put it in the oven? Like, it's ridiculous. So that's what I had.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So are you on tour right now? I mean, I know obviously you're here, but are you in the middle of
I came out here to see you.
Well, thank you. I
flew to Austin
appreciate it.
for this interview. Yes, I'm on tour. I've done maybe like 20 cities so far, and I think I have maybe like 15 or something more to go. And I'm going to be shooting an hour special in February. So I'm sort of working out this new hour, and I have a lot of new material that I owe to America. I know you guys are just starving for it.
I'm going to go back a little bit. Can you tell me a little, this is maybe annoying, can you talk about being unpunked?
Oh my
God. Just think that's so cool. That
is so annoying. It's so funny because literally I'm with a friend of mine who's a comedian, and we're talking about that today. I think it was Jennifer Love Hewitt came up or something. We were just talking about that, and I was like, I always forget that I did that. So it's a pleasant reminder, actually. Yeah. Yes, what do you want to know about it?
I don't know, just tell me a little bit about it. I don't know.
It was the first kind of real gig I had, and it's a good gig for up-and-coming comics, at least it was at the time, because you had to be completely anonymous in order to be on it, but then you would get all this exposure, and I don't know, it's kind of I could never decide what to take away from it, because in order to be hired on it, you basically just have to convince them that you're a complete sociopathic asshole and will do anything to ruin other people's lives. So I always sort of felt a little bit bad about it, because by the time I did it, the third season, it was the secret season after he had canceled it, and the pranks
forgot about that.
Yeah, remember he went on CNN and stuff. And it was the stuff we did was so mean. And to me, it was just fun and awesome. And I was like, oh, I'm just a sick person, and that's why they hired me.
Well, it seemed like it was.
Yeah, it was.
It seemed like a fun gig.
It was a blast. I mean, to me, I was always so concerned because I had seen so many of the ones where the celebrities became complete assholes, and luckily I didn't really have that happen. Yeah. Everyone was pretty cool and handled everything pretty well. I think it was Chris Klein and Jennifer Love Hewitt and The Rock. I remember doing his. He was terrifying. I mean, I was in a lot of really legitimately dangerous situations. I'm I cannot believe that was my first gig, But it was a blast. It was awesome.
What's Ashton like? No, I'm just kidding.
Ashton's so smart. It's weird. He's super smart. He's so nice. Taught me a lot. Was great. I mean, I didn't see him that much, but he was just awesome and such a business person. I think to succeed in this business now, you can't just do one thing. You have to have a business mind, which is kind of what I learned when I started doing TV shows. I was I have to know how to talk to employees. I'm a pig. I'm a filthy club comic. You know what I mean? I don't belong with being an authority figure of any kind. And he was super inspiring because he's a great boss too, whereas if you have big dreams and goals, you have to be a leader also. And so he kind of taught me that early on.
You've sort of done a lot of that yourself. You've done TV, movies, modeling.
You Googled me.
I Googled. stand up, is that sort of what you've always wanted to do? Or?
Yeah, that's my thing. I mean, it's so interesting because doing the tour now is really important for me to get back out after a couple of years of, doing the TV shows, of reminding people that I'm a stand-up first, and that's my biggest priority, And the only reason the TV shows ever happened were because it was based on my stand-up, So when people don't know that I do stand-up, I always find that to be so disorienting and odd. And, I think I became estranged from it for a little bit, even though I was still running the clubs, because that's how I get stories and that's how I work things out and, figure out if things are funny or not. I can't just sit in a writer's room and, come up with ideas. You got to try it out on strangers, and that's why I did a multi-camera show, because there's, people in the audience telling you, validating, your instincts. To me, comedy's a democracy, and it's not like a bunch of writers sitting in a room being like, this is funny. It's like, no, we got to go ask a bunch of people who aren't in comedy and run it by them, That's how you know something's funny, when people have no reason to laugh if they involuntarily do. So it's so good to be back on the road. And I think also when you're a stand-up, to not be doing stand-up is just maddening. I mean, it's like, I just get very lost. I get very loud. I get very, smothering. It's just not a good look on me at all. You know that you have to get back on stage when, your friends are like, hey, so do you have any gigs coming up? Because I'm really sick of hearing that story. You got to get it out to the masses. You got to get things out of your system when you're a stand-up.
You really rose to prominence with these roasts. Do you have any of those coming up, or is that something you're kind of done with?
I'm such a fan of the roasts, and I love them, and they did so much, for me personally and professionally, and I was a writer on the roast even before I was a performer on the roast, so I'm I love jokes, and I love roast comedians, but yeah, I'm not really doing it as much anymore. I mean, I don't have any lined up. I think that I succeeded at the roast because I was kind of unknown and no one had any idea who I was. And I feel like now it's just, I don't know. I feel like it's just the dynamic is a little bit different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you're known, and I hope you have a terrific show.
Thank you.
And it was nice to meet you,
so
and thank you for
much.
doing it.
I'm really excited. This thing, get it away. I mean, that is a level of phallic that even I can't get behind. I mean, if one more person in Austin sticks a black phallus in my face.